In my own personal growth journey, and as I watched my clients' lives unfold and heard their stories and worked with them, I keep bumping into this concept, and I just want to give you some food for thought in this today, some perspective. The concept is fear. Fear popped up everywhere. And I want to help you see how it's popping up in your life and then give you some tools to start to work with it. One of my favorite quotes is, all of our inauthentic behavior stems from fear. All of our behavior that's inauthentic stems from fear. So think of a time when you did not like the way you showed up or behaved or reacted to a situation. Don't feel good about it. It wasn't your best self. It wasn't your highest self. It wasn't even your truest self. I guarantee you that at the root of that behavior, that reaction that you had was some sort of fear. We do it all the time. And I could lay out multiple scenarios, like real life examples. Say we react very harshly to a teenager who comes home with a bad grade. Well, what's at the root of that? Is it fear that they're going to fail? Is it fear that they won't be a success? Is it fear that they're going to wind up on the streets and in prison? It just followed the trail of fear. Like usually behind any way we show up in the light in our world in a way that we don't feel good about later stems from fear. And again, I'm not going to break down examples because there's so many. This shows up in our careers, in our business, in our romantic relationships, in our parenting style, in our fitness, and so many ways that fear is a lockdown. It puts a cap on our action. It puts our cap on us being our best self, which is why we're talking about it here. So fear is hardwired into our physiology. It was given to us as a means of protection, survival, protection from death, harm, danger. And it's hardwired into our physiology, so when we feel fear, that we have a physiological response, meaning our breathing increases, our heart rate increases, we have cortisol, we have adrenaline released in our system. And in primitive history, that was designed to be alleviated by taking action. So we see a predator coming and we run. We see a threat coming on, we build shelter or we hide. We do something physical to release. We take action to protect ourselves from the fear. And if you look at long-term scan of history and how humans have how our evolution process is, it's only relatively short amount of history, say 200, 300 years, that our world has become much more safe than it used to be. Meaning we don't have, dinosaurs chasing us or tigers trying to maul our families or, tribes of people, conquering our village and burning it down. And we don't, in most of the world, typically, we'll talk about in the United States, we don't have those types of threats. Our world is much more safe, but we still have a very high fear trigger, fear instinct. That's still wired into us. Most of it is imagined. Most of our fear is imagined. An acronym is false evidence appearing real, right? That's what our fear is. And so I'm going to give you a couple ways that you can start to deal with this. Firstly, fear only has power when it remains hidden, when we're not even aware of it. When we have a response or reaction and it doesn't sit right with us, but we're not taking the time to feel what we really feel. So many times with my life coaching clients, I will ask the question, when they're talking about something they would like or an action they would like to take, or a thought that they have that's limiting, that's hard to release. And I'll say, and if you did that, then what would happen? And it's amazing to see there's like this moment of space for them to pause and be like, well, then I guess, and then the fear comes out, right? And then usually behind that, there's usually one a little deeper and maybe even another one a little bit deeper. So you ask a couple questions and you get down to that root fear. Once it comes out and it's out there on the table, so many times people say, well, that sounds kind of dumb. Or, yeah, that I kind of feel silly saying that. But that it doesn't feel silly when it's hiding inside of us. It feels very real. So first thing, I'm going to give you 2 A's. The one is acknowledgement. Don't let your fear hide. Like start to be aware of maybe times that you show up or behave or react in a way that you don't like, or it's something you're not taking action in that you just really want, but you keep tucking it back to the back of your mind and not doing anything about it. I guarantee you behind either of those things that aren't serving you well in life, there is a fear. So if the first A is acknowledgement, if you first start to ask yourself questions, why am I not doing that? What am I afraid of? If I did that, then what would happen? And then what would happen? And then what would that mean? Ask those questions and pull it out there. Acknowledging it helps it to release so much of its power because you can face it and say, well, if that happened and this person rejected me, well, if that's the fear, that allows you to say like, well, could I handle that? Yes or no. A lot of times people figure out, you know what, I could handle that. Or if the fear is, if I did this, then I would, you know, if I started a business, I would lose my secure income and I would, you know, follow that fear out. And at the end of the equation, could I handle that if that happened? Would I be okay? Yes or no. It gives you the chance to evaluate the fear. When you don't even pull it out and it's hiding, you don't even have the chance to evaluate whether or not you think you could deal with that if it actually happened in your life. So 1, acknowledge. 2 is action. Action always moves us past fear and makes us stronger, gives us courage. Here's a little story. When my daughter was young, we were on a ropes course and we practiced the trust fall when you stand up on a height and you fall back into people's arms. And it took about 20 minutes of convincing, addressing all of her fears or her concerns till she finally did it. She was so nervous. The second she did it, pops onto the ground and is like, I want to do it again. When you break through that fear so many times, when people have a first experience of something they were really afraid of, it takes away the majority of the fear and it's actually invigorating, exciting, it builds self-confidence, and you want to do more of that. So pushing through fear by taking action, that's the second A. Take action, whatever you're sitting on. You want to acknowledge it, see if you can deal with it or not, and then just do it. There comes a point where thinking about it more or feeling afraid of it more or hiding it more is not going to help you. You just need to go do it, and that's one of the ways you break through the fear itself, is by actually doing that thing, taking action on that thing. Whether it's, again, there's so many areas this applies to, but remember, acknowledge fear and then take action in spite of fear. Those are the ways that you overcome it and lead to your best life. The best things that you want are right on the other side of fear, right on the other side. So if you can learn to manage fear better, process it and push through it, your life is going to expand so much bigger than you can even imagine. So sharing this with you today, hoping that you get some food for thought, feel some inspiration. You can always reach out to me if you want some help in that process. And I am wishing you the most fantastic life.